because it had the word tweet in it, so it must be a good idea.
Right. That's interesting. I've got it here. I mean, what's the business model there?
We're going to wait for Twitter to come up with one and then follow them.
Right.
Yeah.
But seriously, why would you do a deal?
Well, seriously,
that's great, isn't it? This is the science of venture investment that you're seeing before your very eyes. But is that a deal that, I mean, you weren't doing this a year or so back. Is that a deal that you'd have just been just as eager, even more eager to make a year ago, or what?
I think the reasons for making the investment would be the same a year ago as it would now. I mean, TweetDeck's by far the most successful client of its type for Twitter. It's not just Twitter, it's Facebook and anything with a status update potentially. I mean, they're doing incredibly well. Great growth, very smart founder, luckily an English guy, which makes it all the better. And
we're going to have another top British entrepreneur to talk about, you're saying, besides you.
I think there's more than just me, but yeah, I mean, he's doing great, and he's done it up until now all on his own. He's now employed 3 other guys, but he could pretty much carry on doing it his own. His opportunity missed if he doesn't.
And is that one of the points that I mean, people always say it's so much cheaper to start up these days, but the reverse of that is that people are often looking for quite small amounts of money where there's a bit of a gap.
I'm not sure it's cheaper than it was in 99 or 95. I mean, it's still one man with a computer and a web server can start any website you imagine. So I'm not sure anything's changed on that front.
There's a lot of off-the-shelf things you can buy that weren't available back then where you needed more customization for building platforms. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's building blocks which can make things a little quicker, but the one-man band website has been around since the internet began. So I'm not sure what's changed.
Andreas, where have you been flinging your money?
Well, so unlike Nick and Michael, we're not professional investors. We're advisors, although we do make investments periodically, and we do that sort of personally. The principals at the company will make personal investments along with the balance sheet of the firm. We do it fairly infrequently. So I'll say the last investment that I made was in a company called Boliven, which is a company that was started by someone I've known for a long time who is a successful entrepreneur and whom I trust considerably. He started a business called Gerson Lehrman Group about 10 years ago that had a successful exit or a liquidity event a couple of years ago when Silver Lake came in. And,
I love that, a liquidity event.
Yeah, sorry, technical term. They got some cash out of it.
I'm planning a liquidity event straight after the show tonight.
I apologize, yeah. They got some money back. So I invested on the basis that he's an entrepreneur that I trust, has a proven track record, who I think is disciplined and is going to grow his business, which essentially sifts through the morass of intellectual property data out there and organizes it in a way that's useful for entrepreneurs and business people.
It's a patent register, or what?
It's not a register, but it's essentially it's a subscription tool that you use to search patent information. So not only who holds patents and what the documents are associated with that, but who are the lawyers who worked on it and so forth. A whole bunch of information associated with intellectual property, which is, if you know anything about it, and I know very little, it's a fairly Byzantine area that you immediately defer to lawyers to help you out with, and he's trying to make it easier to approach.
Right, we've had a number of questions sent in, so I'm going to plow through a number of them. What are your suggestions on getting the best experience out of working with a new VC, accessing expertise, contact networks, and so on? I suppose that's got to be aimed at you, really.
Crikey. So I always think the most important thing when you're choosing a VC is having a person across the table who you share a vision with and who you know well enough to have a reasonable idea about how they're going to react to changes in the business. And it's important that when you hit a crossroads, you both want to go in the same direction. Otherwise, that's when problems arise. That's the most important thing focusing on when you're choosing a VC. when you've got someone around the table, then you just need to look at, it's, you know, it really depends on who the individual is, what sort of networks they have, and you just got to, I think it's probably hard to generalize on that, but, you know, find out what you think they're good at, ask a lot of questions, and you know, be quite assertive in asking for help.
And there's one for you here. Your thoughts on angel investors as an alternative to venture capital firms. You standing outside this a bit, perhaps you can take a slightly dispassionate view. Yeah,
I mean, I would say that you know, at some point in a company's growth, and you know, fairly, you know, once they've sort of gotten themselves off the ground, it's helpful for a company to have institutional, meaning venture capital, as opposed to individual investors behind them, for the reasons that Nick said. I mean, you know, a firm like DFJ, Esprit, and the companies like it are in the business of not only supplying money, but helping those businesses grow over time. And angels, you know, some will do that. Some are more hands off. So, you know, you want to bring in institutional money from venture capitalists. You know.
So you might be better with an angel because they'd leave you alone. Whereas Nick and his mates would be interfering all the time.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's.
They'd be bringing their undoubted expertise to your boardroom.
Well, they're also bringing their network of connections, their resources, the fact that they have, you know, they have a limited partner base that includes a lot of people that maybe you as a company want to access, and corporate relationships as well, which could be helpful commercially to you and down the road when you want to exit the business.
So Michael, what are you? Are you an angel, or are you a VC, or what are you now? How do you describe what you're doing?
I think we've got an identity crisis, really.
Yeah.
We sort of pitch ourselves as between angel and VC, which means we'll sleep with anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, on the low end, in terms of investment size, if you judge it by investment size, we'll go down to angel and up to VC levels. We don't want to sort of say we won't do that.
But in terms of the kind of involvement, I mean, will you be, you know, let's take TweetDeck, will you be banging on the guy's door? Will you be trying to appoint non-execs? Will you be advising him to get in a chief executive because he doesn't?
So sometimes we'll lead around. In which case that would be the case in the nicest possible way. Yeah. And other times we're just investing alongside a lead. So TweetDeck, we're not leading that round.
Right. It's not up to you.
No.
Right.
But at the same time, by investing the network of, because Pro-Founders Capital it's not institutional money. All the money is coming from other founders. So we've closed an initial round, and now we're out raising the rest of the fund from other founders.
Right.
And so the idea is that we create a network of founders, people who've been there before, and then make those founders available on a case-by-case basis where it makes sense to the investment.
Accepting any cash from the room? I mean, what does it take to join your club?
What does it take? I mean, there's a minimum amount of money, which I'm not sure we're publicly disclosing.
I don't think it is commensurate with a BBC salary, so I'm sorry, I won't be telling you.
But being a founder is the primary thing.
Yeah. There is a question here which I don't expect you to answer. Describe the relationship between, this is for the two of you, between Allen & Co. and Bebo during the sale to AOL. What were some lessons learned when negotiating an exit?
Do you want to start with that?
But just for the context here, Michael is a genius. The last time I was on one of these stages, I was with Nicholas Zenstrom, and I think I made myself slightly unpopular by saying, "You're fantastic. You started, I think it was 3 businesses at that stage. It was Kazaa, Skype, and Juiced, and you've managed to pass the first 2 on before people realised that they were slightly lacking in a business model. And since then, I don't know, how's Juiced going? Anyway, but you managed a pretty brilliant exit there, didn't you?
It was good timing, yeah.
Yeah. Remind us when it was?
When it was, I think it was May last year.
Right. Yeah.
It officially closed.
Probably the peak of the social networking valuation.
We could have hung in for another couple of months, I think.
Yeah.